it's not just enough to have your critical path. That's not all that's available to us today as our industry, the leadership development space, is evolving. There are other things that are available to us too that scooch us closer to that EVA, to adding value and adding value differently than we have in the past. And that comes to us through customization. It comes to us through taking our critical path and saying, hey, wait a minute, are there places that we could customize this critical path to meet our leaders where they are, to meet them in the role in which they serve, in the role in which they are paid to lead? And turns out we can. So what I want to do is I want to go back through our 5 stones of our path. And I want us to ask this question. Well, what would it look like if we were to customize that? Okay. Sound good?
Yes, I love it.
All right. So we're going to go to stone number 1. And stone number 1, again, you guys, is about introduction to leadership excellence. So let's say I'm building this development intervention for team leaders. And I'm going to introduce them to what leadership excellence looks like for team leaders. Today, I can do that, Reg. I can take team leadership excellence modeling, and I can say, this is what it looks like for you.
That's right.
Here's the great news. When you think about it, you can do it for the team leader. You can also do it for the service leader. You can do it for the sales leader. Sorry, my props are getting away from me. You can do it for the sales leader, and you can do it for the senior leader. Now, what I've had to do in the past, Reg, is I've had to take this and make it fit for whoever was part of my developmental intervention.
That's right.
And we did it, but it was never, it was always square peg round holing it, right? And so the thing that I think is so exciting about our industry and the steps that we're taking and how much we're learning is exactly this, that we now can customize what excellence looks like for different leadership roles. It's quite simply, it's just fantastic.
Well, it makes it bespoken, and it allows us to stop being called the cookie cutter enterprise, because we're not taking one leadership model, which typically has been produced on behalf of our more senior leaders inside an organization, and force fitting it on our sales leaders, our service leaders, and our operational line leaders. So love it. And I love the phrase that you used to kick off this piece of it, which is you meet leaders where they are. I think that that's so important to say, Wendy.
Yeah, and it's one thing for me to be excited about it, and I am from a leadership practitioner perspective. But another piece of it that I think oftentimes we forget about is how special it will make our participants feel.
That's right.
Right. And isn't that what it's all about? Because that's what will lead to them doing the heavy lifting that it's going to take for them to build the muscle they have to build.
That's right.
Okay. So stone number 2, right? Stone number 2 is all about me. And our focus here is about the leaders and helping them understand how to become better leaders. So let's say I'm designing this intervention, Reg, for service leaders. And wouldn't it be really great to provide them with some feedback that shows them, well, just how do they compare to the exceptional leadership model for service leaders? So what if we could provide them with a report that does exactly that, right? With a report that can help them, we can work with them and we can help them identify gaps and areas of opportunity that are specific to them. Now that is bespoke, right?
Agreed.
That is customized. All right. Stone number 3. We're gonna click through these kind of quickly. Stone number 3, all about our business. This is when we're really helping our participants, our leaders, to learn to run their department, their function, or their territory better. So let's say I'm designing this for a sales leader. And I'm working with them, and through the assessment process, we learn that they need to really work on a critical business practice. A critical business practice, say, for example, called value proposition.
That's right.
I can go to my value proposition resource and I can pull this out, Reg, and I can work with that leader to say, okay, what is a value proposition? Have you thought about it? What impact would it make on your results if you had one? How would you go about it? Here's a resource that can help you develop your value proposition, or you can work with your team to develop your value proposition.
Mhm.
But this is a way to use within our third stone of our path to really
Yes.
get down to those pieces and parts that are important, again, to that, in this particular example, our sales leader, so they can build the muscle that will impact their results.
Yes.
Okay. Stone number 4,
Mhm.
making it matter. So let's say I'm designing now for senior leaders,
Mhm.
and I want to help those leaders put together a complete approach to building strategy in their department or within the organization. I want an experience where they have to bring it all together, bring everything that we've talked about together kind of into one activity. So what if I could help with that? Well, one of the things that I would use to do that, Reg, would be our business planning agenda, which helps leaders to step through all of the different activities, pieces and parts that they need to think through to build their business plan for their department.
Mm-hmm. I love that too, because it number 4 connects to the work coming out of University of Michigan around after event reviews.
Exactly.
And the more that you can provide structure, even if the structure is around something challenging, like how do I put together a refreshed multi-year business plan, the more structure that you can provide around that, that increases the conscientious learning component of that executive leader, which means what? That we're decreasing learning latency and actually getting results and changing behavior.
Right, right. All within the work. It's not something separate that you're doing, that you're thinking about. It's all within the work. And another thing that I really love about these types of activities and this development type of intervention is the cohort that's built, right? During this as we engage in this type of framework, where they're working on their business plan, but so too are their colleagues.
That's
and
right.
they learn so much from each other through this process. Okay, so let's talk about stone number 5, the last stone. Yep, the last stone in our critical path, which is all about, you guys. Well, it's about measuring impact. So we want to know if the development work that we've been engaged in resulted in any change, right? Did it matter? So when we think about this, it's gone are the days of having to wait 12 to 18 months to reassess. We can now reassess much more frequently, and it makes sense to reassess more frequently because we have leaders who are working on very specific things, very targeted types of development activities. So what we can do now is we can take that report where they were during their first assessment, and Reg, we can reassess again, and guess what we get? The second report, right? So now we can say, okay, has there been a change? If there's been a change, did the change happen in the areas that you were working on? If so, what's going on there? What impact is it having on your business? So that's number 1, I think, that's important about reassessing. Did the work work? Right? Were we able to build that muscle? The second piece about reassessing is, if so, where's the next body of work for you?
Yes, that's right.
Yes, because different pieces and parts are going to impact others. And then the third thing that I think is so important about assessing, about reassessing, is this body of leadership analytics, our leadership analytics database that organizations are now building. And so, of course, we're interested in that move from an individual perspective, but we'll also be able, Reg, to see how are we moving from a group perspective, from a leadership role perspective within the entire organization, which opens all kinds of opportunities and value opportunities for us in the leadership practitioner world that we haven't had in the past.
Yeah, so it's kind of like what I hear you saying is it's not just the leadership analytics database, and putting it to use inside of that input process output model, what we call the IPO highway. But it's being able to understand how to take those analytics and learn where your service leaders are at today.
Yes.
Learn where your sales leaders are at today. Learn where your team leaders are at today. Learn where your executives are at today.